The bell rings, signaling the end of another boring day at school. So it's finally over. Riku sighed, dropping his bag to the floor with a thud. But then again, it was kind of exciting because today they had a surprise quiz in class, which he completely bombed. As he trudged down the hallway, he thought about going home, getting some food, playing a few games and sleeping. But then he noticed something strange in his line of sight. It was a ray of light coming from under the door of the school library, which was never open after school hours. As he walked closer, he could make out the shape of a book lying on the floor, beckoning him closer. It was an old, weathered book. He opened it, but there were no words inside, only what seemed like random scribbles. And then he saw it. There was a small note attached to the first page. To activate, read this aloud. He hesitated, not sure if he should do this or not, but curiosity got the better of him. So he began reading. The room shook violently as the walls themselves seemed to ripple. When everything calmed down, he found himself in an identical-looking room, but it was as if time had rewound a few minutes. The clock on the wall showed 10 minutes before. Wait, did he just time travel? It couldn't be, yet the evidence was right in front of him. At first he was scared, but then he realized he could use this ability for anything he wanted. He could cheat on tests, win the lottery, even get more food at all-you-can-eat sushi. But then he remembered that there were only 2 rules. First, he could only use it once per day. Second, it would revert the time for 10 minutes. That meant he could see into the future and change events, but he couldn't stay there. Still, that was plenty of time for most things. For instance, in Mr. Hashimoto's class, he could answer every question correctly. In gym class, he could help his crush avoid tripping while running or stop his best friend from taking an eraser to the face during a lecture. He could correct small mistakes, but big ones were harder to undo. Like the time he saved his friend Sana from falling off the stairs. While he was able to catch her, she still ended up scuffing her knee. He felt awful about that one. It wasn't long before he exhausted his daily allowance. This happened exactly 37 days, 8 hours and 13 minutes before a particular event in the school. As the days passed, Riku developed a habit of returning to that spot in the library every evening to see if anything had changed. But the book remained unchanged, offering him the same 10 precious minutes each day. He enjoyed using the scroll to help others, whether it was helping a classmate who forgot their homework or guiding a lost first-year student to their classroom. Each use left him feeling fulfilled. That was until one day when he arrived at school to find a devastated Senna waiting for him by the lockers. Her usual cheerful self had been replaced by a somber silence. "Riku," she began, her voice trembling. "Do you know anything about the lab? There was a huge explosion. Everyone's talking about it. I'm worried about Kenichi. He was doing some experiment in there after school. But now the door is locked from the outside and no one can get in." Kenichi was a second-year student who liked tinkering around in the lab. Sometimes his experiments went awry, resulting in small explosions. But nothing too serious had ever happened before. His mind raced. Was this an accident or something more sinister? Could the chrono scroll help him find out? As he reached for the worn book, he saw a flicker of movement behind the curtains in the corner of the room. His heart skipped a beat as he watched a figure emerge. A tall, slender girl with shoulder-length hair and piercing red eyes. She held a staff-like object in her hand. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice echoing in the silent hallway. But she didn't answer. Instead, she raised her staff, pointing it directly at him. Panic surged through him. Was she responsible for the explosion? What did she want with him? And then it hit him. The chrono scroll. She must have seen him using it and now she wanted it for herself. He had to protect it. But how? Thinking fast, he activated the scroll, turning back the clock by 10 minutes. He knew she would be expecting him to use it again. So he acted nonchalantly, hoping to catch her off guard. He casually asked, "Hey, Do you know where I can find Kenichi? I'm worried about him. She narrowed her eyes, clearly suspicious of his earlier behavior. But she hesitated, giving him a sharp look before disappearing into the shadows. Relief washed over him as he realized he had bought some time. But he knew he couldn't waste it. He needed to find out who she was and why she was after the Chrono Scroll. But where to start? As the minutes ticked by, an idea struck him. He could ask someone who might have noticed the girl, but who had a knack for getting into trouble. Making his way through the bustling school hallways, he spotted Hiroto Kido, a notorious class clown, leaning against the wall, watching the crowd go by. Approaching him, Riku asked, "Hey, Kido, have you seen a weird girl around lately? Tall, slender build, shoulder-length hair, kind of looks like a redhead." At first, Kido looked puzzled, but then his eyes widened. "Ah, you mean the red-eyed girl, right?" he exclaimed, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. "Yeah, her. Have you seen her?" Riku pressed, hoping to get some answers. "Oh, yeah, she's been hanging around the school, especially the library and the lab," Kido replied, lowering his voice to a conspiratorial whisper. "Rumor has it she's after something really powerful." Intrigued, Riku followed up, "Do you know what she's after?" Kido shook his head, his grin widening. "Wouldn't you like to know?" he teased, enjoying Riku's frustration. But before Riku could press him further, the bell rang, signaling the start of class. With a sigh, Riku decided to change his tactics. He would observe the school grounds from the library rooftop, hoping to catch the girl off guard. As the afternoon sun beat down on the school, Riku found himself perched on the edge of the library rooftop, patiently waiting for any sign of the mysterious girl. He scanned the grounds below, searching for any unusual activity, and then he saw her, the girl with the red eyes. She stood by the closed science lab, her slender figure a stark silhouette against the bright sky. Just as he was about to call out to her, a loud bang echoed from inside the lab, followed by a thick plume of smoke. His heart pounded in his chest. Was she causing these explosions on purpose? Before he could dwell on the thought, he activated the chrono scroll, turning back the clock by 10 minutes. He descended from the rooftop, determined to confront her. He found her in the hallway, her face pale. She hadn't noticed him yet. This was his chance. He quickly hid behind a bookshelf, waiting for his moment. When she turned around, he leaped from his hiding spot, startling her. "Who are you? Why are you here?" he demanded answers. She recoiled slightly, her eyes widening in surprise. "You," she breathed, her gaze fixed on the chrono scroll in his hand. "Give me that!" He could sense the urgency in her voice, the desperation. He knew he couldn't fight her, so he decided to bargain. "Why do you want it?" he asked, trying to gauge her intentions. "I need it to fix things," she replied, her voice low. "Things that have gone terribly wrong." He hesitated, torn between helping her and protecting his own interests. But as he looked into her eyes, he saw a depth of sadness that tugged at his heartstrings. He knew he couldn't let her leave with the scroll. Not only was it too dangerous, but he also couldn't bear the thought of her fixing whatever it was that she had broken. With a resolute nod, he handed over the scroll. "Here," he said, his voice firm, "take it. But promise me you won't use it for anything selfish." A flicker of surprise crossed her face, quickly replaced by gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered, cradling the scroll like a precious relic. As she turned to leave, he called out to her, "Wait, what's your name?" She paused, then turned back, her red eyes meeting his gaze. "My name," she whispered, "is Saki Fujisawa," and with that, she disappeared down the hallway, leaving him alone with his thoughts and the echo of her haunting name.